Yeah, I want to welcome everyone to today's workshop. And today is the third workshop I've done with Billy Stevens, and I just want to start off by saying some of the topics that we've covered now, which have been really beneficial. And we get a lot of requests for improving improving pay plans and making them more efficient. And I just know one thing in my companies, it was always a really complicated process. But today, that's one of the things we're going to discuss. Some of the other things we've discussed with Billy is efficiencies, zero service tickets, and memberships, which has been a really hot request. So I'd like to introduce you all to Billy Stevens. Billy Stevens is the founder of Sera Systems, Billygo, and he's got many, many more to add to his repertoire. But welcome, Billy, and thank you again for doing this podcast and workshop. And we'll open it up later. Might have a few questions, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on incentive plans and everything that makes a company more profitable.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate everyone that's jumped on here today, and I hope we can find some value in this conversation and you can take it and apply it in your businesses. That's the whole point here. That's why I like getting on here with Alan. We have a good time sharing the information we have and accumulated over the years, and can't think of a better place to do it. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Billy. So we'll kick off with, before we jump into the incentives, I mean, this is where I do get a lot of requests, and everyone that says, Alan, we want to incentivize our guys, we want to improve culture, and that's something that we'll touch on. But I just know myself, it was always complicated. Now, you have shared with me some of the things you're doing. I don't share that with anyone else because, that's your intellectual, but everyone wants to know how to simplify the incentive plans, how to make it. The most important thing, I think, is so that it's a win for the company. If it's not a win for the team, it's not going to work. You want to improve culture. So that's one of the areas that I'd love to dive into. So shall we kick off there today, Billy?
Sure. We could talk about culture and how paying, the way you pay people, actually can ruin your culture. The complicated pay systems that you may be using, or even commission-based sales, create a kind of a negativity between the owners and the employees, and I'll explain why. Because one of the things that happens is happens globally. I'm not pointing my finger at anyone. I just want some of the things I've experienced, because I had to start out at nothing with no coaching or anything over my 30-year career, and I've tried everything. And so one of the things we do inherently as a business owner, as we own our businesses, the longer we own them, the more we try to solve problems, we create more. And that is one of the biggest things I see that happen to these companies, is we spend so much time trying to figure out a way to circumvent an issue, and we just end up creating 3 more issues. And one of those things that we do that causes this is we're putting more and more tasks on our employees to manage. When we have these great ideas and we come up with this new stuff, we have to have someone to manage it, right? And so what we'd end up doing is we create all these extra jobs, and the next thing you know, everyone's so busy, they're not getting their real jobs done because they're managing all this other stuff. And so this is just an inherent part of a growing business. There's nothing wrong. This is what happens. And so my job here today is to explain to you how to keep your business from being so complicated that you have so many jobs under each individual, and then talk about how the way you should pay your employees, especially out in the field. That's what we're going to focus on today, is your technicians, and your plumbers and your electricians. I get all the words right here. Technicians are HVAC. If you have HVAC, plumbers are plumbers, and electricians are electricians. So I want to make sure we get it right. So I may say technicians, guys. I'm just going to ask for a free pass, just so I don't have to say technicians, plumbers, electrical guys. If that's okay, if you'll let me slide on that. I promise I won't use hot water heater either. So, so anyway, so what a good pay system is in place, it should be a win-win, and it should be a win for the employees, and it should be a win for the company. And what I'm seeing more and more, even with the technology that's out there today, I see labor costs exploding on balance sheets and or on P&L statements. And the typical company that I see, their labor rates over 30%. And I'm talking about direct labor. I'm not talking about people in the office. I'm talking about field labor. People that are out in the field are costing you more than 30%. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's very unhealthy. That's very, very unhealthy. And so we've gotten into this situation where we don't have enough plumbers or, you know, air techs or whatever. And we try to pay more so that we can get them, right? We pay them a lot. We give them the farm. All of a sudden our labor rates are getting out of control. And, you know, a business was created, the person that took on the entrepreneurship to start a business. I mean, that's the American dream, right? And that's what we all work for, is not to work for the man. That's why we own our own companies. And you shouldn't be the least paid person in the company. I think that just should not happen. And hopefully I can help you get away from that today. So that's really what I'm trying to do here today is you need to be paid well. If you're going to do this, you need to be paid extremely well, or otherwise you just got a job that just sticks around 24/7 and it's all you can think about is your job, because that's what a business is, right? It is your life. It is living and breathing because of you. It would not exist if it wasn't for you. And that is the whole ideal here, is for you to prosper for your risk that you take, from all the things that go on, the loss of hair, if you will, the risk, the sleepless nights, all that stuff is part of owning a business. How you overcome it is the trick. And so what I felt all these things. I knew that I was feeling all these things, and I created this pay system because I wanted to make it simpler for my guys to know what they're being paid at all times. And when they know when they're being paid and it's not a complicated pay system, they're going to trust you more. Because when it's complicated, the mistakes are made. And when mistakes are made, they lose confidence. They gotta work hard trying to figure out what their pay is when they should be focusing on the customer. And when you set a guy out in there for we're paying him commission, you're sending him out there in a do or die situation. He gets zero if he gets zero, right? But he gets paid if he sells stuff. And so my pay system pays them all the time and pays them well for when they succeed. And it is also designed to help you charge money for when he does get a zero ticket, because everybody gets zero tickets. And so we just don't have global pricing in our price book. I'm moving over to the price book for just a second, but the part of it is you got to know how to price properly so you can get your labor rate down. You need to have a simple pay system so you can get your labor rate down, but yet pay your techs more and your plumbers more. I have the highest paid plumbers in the industry, but my labor rate is lower than everyone on this call.
We might touch on that a bit further. That's a great point, and that I'm guessing that comes to efficiencies, right? And
it comes to efficiencies. That is absolutely correct. I have $200,000 a year plumbers. They make 200 grand or more. I have a handful of those guys. I have guys that make 100 grand or more. I have no one as a technician, plumber, or electrician that works for me making less than 85. And so even if I hire a new helper straight off the street, I picked him up at Home Depot. Hey, I like you. You got what I want in a guy. Come on over and work for us. That guy's making $45,000 a year the day he walks in the door. And he just left the job paying $16 an hour. And he's got zero experience. And I still have lower labor rates than you guys. And the reason why is because we are very efficient at everything we do. Our technicians know where they stand at all times, and they understand how to move forward and do the right thing. We have to coach them. We have to get them on your team, meaning we're all together. And to do that, we must support them at all costs. You can't be angry when they call you because they need you to go they need a part or they can't figure something out. You can't be angry. You have to be helpful. I know you're having a bad day, but you've got to treat them like they are the best thing ever. However, they need to be doing their job as well. And they want a leader, and it's time for us to lead. And if we lead them and we lead them correctly, they will follow you and they will do the right thing. But it's going to have to be from you, from within. You're going to have to lead these people, and you're going to have to reorganize your business to where everyone that works in that business is there to support that technician. And if they need anything at all, we're going to figure out how to get it for them so they can make that sale or get whatever they need. And if you build your business doing this, you're going to create a business that is profitable. It's going to pay you, the owner, well. It's going to pay all your employees well. And so that's really what this meeting is about today, or this Zoom call. And so that's kind of the global thing that I want you to think about. Now let's get tactical and show you how. Okay. So that's what you paid all the money for, to be on this show. It's the tactical part.
So, I love it, Billy. Look, before you go any further, just as you know, we work with contractors down under, and Sera's probably not going to be down under for a couple of years. And also we've probably more than likely got contractors on board the call today that should be using Sera, but they're not. And they're thinking, well, what's all the hype about this Sera software? So for those that aren't using your software, is there some helpful tips or a thing that they should be doing to simplify their incentive plan if they're not able to get access to your software, Australia, and those that are caught up with some of the other products? Is there something that some value we can give those contractors? Because I know everyone that's on this call will eventually be using Sera, they're just not now.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yes, sir. We're definitely going to get to the tactical part about how we can get our businesses focused in the right direction. Okay. And that's, I know we only have an hour, so I'm going to do my best to go through this. It may be part 2 and part 3.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to start at the beginning. So I've just tried to share my screen. So you're going to have to allow me to do that. It's telling me I can't.
There you go, my friend.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
All right. Can everybody see my screen okay? Just give me a thumbs up or whatever.
Looking good.
Everybody's good?
Yep.
All right. First of all, I'm going to show you.
And by the way, while you're searching, if we go long, we go long, because I'd rather stay on this call if there's there's lots of value, and there will be, and we will be opening it up for questions. Rod, yes, I'm sure Billy will love to hear some of the things that some of the questions that are going to be put forward.
I'm gonna go ahead.
No, I'm good. Thank you for doing this, my friend.
Give me 1 second here. This thing is interfering with it. Okay. So this is, everybody see this? Okay. I'm going to focus you on this right here. You see my cursor, everybody? Move you guys out of the way.
Yep.
All right. So right here is a dash. Right here is our dashboard, and this is also on the Plumbers app, on the app that they use. And so I've got this plumber already at 1.5 million for the year. He's at 600. This guy probably end up being around 2 million something. He'll probably make it to 1 million. We're getting into our busy season, as you all know. The next 3 months are the best months of our year, every year. So, I've got my lowest guy is, as a technician, is this guy right here at 263, which he'll end up around 400,000, which in my book is all I need. I'm looking for about 400,000 out of these guys as a minimum. And then when you add all these up together and you divide it by the 9 guys, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Yeah, that's about 6. So far, we're averaging around 600 and something thousand per truck. By the end of the year, we'll probably be around 800,000 per truck. And so what I'm showing you this for is because we remind them constantly of how they're doing. As soon as they close out a call, they can see where they stand. They know what they're going to make. And I wanted to show you this first. And this is just the plumbing department. I didn't add the AC department to these sales. So, and this is very important that they know. And so you can see that we're seeing, fairly good growth from this guy. We coach him, we show him how we want to do it. We're seeing good growth from some of these. Maybe he's behind a little bit, but the point is we're always trying to move forward. And so by showing you that, I want to go to something else here. Just all the stuff's in my way. Hold on. No, that's not what I want to see.
Now, I just want to jump in and let the group know. I hope you don't mind, Billy. We'll soon see. I have spent time with your great company in Dallas, and I have spent time with your technicians. And I just want to know everyone that's in the group, everyone that's on the call, that as much as Billy would like to think his technicians are the best in there, and they're pretty damn good, but I have to say I've been into a lot of companies, and technicians are technicians. They all have problems with that's their mindset on price. The customer said that's too dear. They all have exactly the same situations in their life. So just because you've got good guys, but most of the companies I work with have good guys as well, but the results from your company are way above and beyond most companies I go into, and I'm guessing it's more than just the technicians you got.
It's taking guys and teaching them how to do the right thing, and then listening to them and talking to them about, we spend a lot of time about personal financial meetings. I mean, we spend a lot of time helping these guys improve their own personal lives. And I'm just going to show you real quickly. Let's look at Carlos here. We're going to pick Carlos here. He's a plumbing tech. And I'm going to show you something here. I hadn't even looked at this, so we're just going to take a look here. And we're going to pick all year long, current year. And I'm going to pick Carlos. And I'm going to look at his efficiency as a plumber. And so when I look at every call, even the calls that he got 0 tickets, we're billing 78% of the time. We're actually receiving money 78% of the time, even when you include 0 ticket calls. And this is what's super important. And so there's been a study done by Gallup poll, and they said that our industry is 38% efficient. So we're more than double what the industry average is. And this is what's super important. You can't measure this efficiency on any other product. And this is all automated. You do not have to do any work at this. Once it's set up, it keeps up with everything. So we know that on the 483 jobs that he did right here, if you look at the bottom where my cursor is, he brought in that 625,000 so far this year. His total time was 2,299 hours and 55 minutes. This is how many minutes that I paid him this year. And then this is how much time that he sold. So he is sold under a little under 500 hours less than I've paid him. However, he's done it at a rate of 78%. We know we're going to get zero ticket calls. We know people, not all, everybody's going to buy from us. Now, what I'm going to show you is just the calls we did, not the zero tickets. They're all going to disappear now. And we're going to see where we stand. And now we're 91% efficient. So if we are doing work, we're almost perfect when it comes to billing. And I'm telling you, I'm cheaper than most of my competitors because of this efficiency. I don't have to keep raising prices to make more money. That's where we get ourselves in a trap that causes more problems for our companies. We think that the only way to make it is to raise prices. And what happens is your failure rate rises when it comes to selling jobs, and you sell less jobs, and you get a lower rating in your Yelp and all these other places, Google, and then everybody gets discouraged. Whereas if you knew how to handle your efficiency and all the time that is managed throughout the company, you can increase your profitability through the putting things in place that make sense, that are really going to help you. And this is how we do it. Now I'm going to change from here. I'm going to show you something. We're going to do the entire company now. One calls. Okay. I'm going to take Carlos out. And now we're doing the entire company. And this is everybody. This is the efficiency of every tech and plumber, helper, and installer of our company. We have charged 94% of every job we've ever done for the entire year, 3,900 jobs. We have almost perfectly gotten what we've been wanting to get, even throughout the entire year. So, and so we've been able to charge the customers for everybody's time minus 6%, which is nothing. You don't even notice that. And this is over the entire year. And so what we don't know today as business owners, you don't know where you're losing money at because you can't see it. And that's why we measure things like this. And again, this is automated. Once it's set up, it will keep up with all of this. And so as a company, we have been able to go out and sell enough work that keeps every single person paid by the customer. Therefore, we're not losing money when we do business. And that's where we lose a lot of our profitability, is through wasted time. And coming out in about a month, you're going to be able to see how much time you spent, how much time is wasted going and getting parts, how much time is wasted sitting in the warehouse waiting for parts, how much time is wasted flirting with the dispatcher, how much time is wasted going and getting gas or driving across town when you could have not driven across town. All that stuff we're going to start measuring. We're going to get even more detail. And I know it sounds to you guys like overwhelming, and why? Well, if it's automated, the overwhelming part is not there. The automation of it all, it's just giving you something to work with. Now, why does it matter if we know how much time a guy spends going and getting parts? Well, it matters because we need to charge for that time. And right now we're not. And going back multiple times. And so you can see here, here's a job right here where we went back 7 times, 7 out of 7. And we did terrible, 48%, because we were going back and forth way too much. And this knows who went to this job. It knows if a plumber went, it knows if an installer went, it knows if a hydrostatic tester went. It knows all of these things. And so multiple trips. But here's another one where we went 3 times and we're 134%, meaning we made 134% on the job instead of 100% or less. We were even more profitable. And so we can keep up with how many trips you go and where that loss is at. So I just wanted to just briefly touch on this. Like I said, doesn't take anyone to do anything every day. It will keep up with it by the minute. And In fact, I'm going to just give you let's do something here. What's this job here? Here's a four trip job. We went 4 different times. Let's take a look at this one right here. What happened? There we go. And right here. And Sarah, you just click on a blue thing and you can do whatever you want. It's not complicated at all, by the way. Okay, so we had 4 appointments, right? Let's look at these 4 appointments. Let's see what actually happened here. Matthew Mathis got this call on the 3rd of January. Oh, he was an hour and 5 minutes away. He arrived at this time. He worked for another hour and 11 minutes. So we're 2 hours and 16 minutes into this call with drive time and the time that he was there. But it looks like to me, he went on the 3rd and then he went back the next day on the 4th. This time he was 25 minutes away from whatever he was at on his previous job. And he worked another hour and 38 minutes. So we're 4 hours and 19 minutes into this job. Then on the 3rd time, you got Matthew again, and this was 2 days after this one. This is, well, we got the 3rd. He went on the 4th, and then he did something on the 6th. And it says it's traveled 23 minutes, but he worked no minutes. So that's like, okay, well, what happened here? Let me see. Okay, at 11:45 on January 6th, I just go right here. I click that, and I can tell you exactly what happened. This software keeps up with it. And what does it say? Here it is. Matthew met with an insurance adjuster. So basically, he did a phone call because we didn't have any work time on the job, and it calculated travel time, which means, like I said, in about a month, we're going to have this detailed out. So right now, when there's time that's not actually going to a job or at the job, we just put it as travel time. But in a month or so, we'll be able to break it out. So what he did for those 23 minutes when we looked up there is he met with an insurance adjuster on the phone and went over the scope of the job. That's how detailed this is. And no one had to type that in. No one did it. It was automatically done. And so, because if someone did it, it would say who did it. And so now we know that he spent an additional 23 minutes and we charge for it. And then on the 9th, we sent a Pedro and his helper, Cody. So he obviously sold the job. The insurance adjuster said, yeah, let's do it. And sure enough, we sent Pedro and Cody. They both traveled 39 minutes each. They both worked 9 hours and 22 minutes each. We got to charge for both of them. We got to charge for everyone, right, guys? So their total combined time was over 20 hours. So now we go up here to the summary. We were 155% efficient on this job. So let's see why. So of all the people that touched this job, there was over 3 hours and 11 minutes of travel. That's a lot of gas, all right? We need to pay for that. And we paid for that with this 155. All the work that was done during this job was 21 hours and 33 minutes for a total of 24 hours and 44 minutes. But Matthew sold 38 hours worth of work. So he oversold on the time basis, and we got it done in a lesser time by 13 hours. Therefore, not only did we make our 60% gross margin on this $11,000 job, we have made an additional 55% or another 30. That would probably be in the neighborhood of around 80% gross margin. So I think we made some good money on this job. So this is what you can do to help yourself become more profitable and lower your labor costs. You don't lower what you pay them. You just get better in how you execute. Anybody have any questions about this? No?
Just anyone wants to jump in, let me know. I can put your hand up and I can unmute you.
See some chats here.
Or just jump in the chat. Let us know if you've got some questions.
It says we can only see half. Are y'all having a hard time seeing it? I'm looking in the chat.
So let me just yep, there's Michael there. Let me just, you can Rod's always Rod's always got some questions, so feel free to unmute yourself and hop in, Rod.
Hey, Billy, thank you very much for doing this.
Hey, you're welcome.
I
You
appreciate it.
been?
Yeah, I'm speaking for myself. I'm a Sera member, and I been implementing all this. The question I have is, when you calculate your hours, like your pay in Sera price, you depends on QuickBook rate. Can you share with
I lost him.
We lost you, Rod. The microphone, maybe. Not too sure what's going on. We'll probably, I know Michael Cox had his hand up. We'll probably let you jump in, Rod. I'll just get you to check your microphone, buddy. Hey, Michael.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
So I'm a
Michael.
new user, a few months in, and it really is a great software. I really love everything about it, and I'm still just scratching the surface of its capabilities. And one of the things that I've noticed going through your breakdown of the efficiencies is automating a lot of these things. For instance, meeting with the adjuster, you were stating that it was automated. It didn't have to be input by our CSR or anybody. A lot of the things that I'm curious about is how these automations can be in place, to again happen automatically.
Yes, sir. All right. Great question. So, first and foremost, we have a customer success person that you can reach out to anytime, day or night, and they can walk you through this. And so actually the automation part of it is really triggered by events. And these events are like, for instance, if a technician or a plumber goes out on a job and he makes a proposal and the customer accepts that quote, when you accept the quote, that's what triggers the hours that it's going to take that he just sold. Okay. And at that point, Sera goes, okay, this guy just sold 8 hours worth of work. He's been there an hour already. He drove 40 minutes already. We got 6 hours and 20 minutes left to be at 100% efficient. And let's say he sold a tankless heater or something. Then the install crew comes in, and there's 2 guys usually on those crews. And so they have about 3 hours and 20 minutes. And I'm just throwing numbers out there, or time out there. And they have about 3 hours and 20 minutes each to get the job in to be at 100% efficient. And so that efficiency is then calculated when they sign the invoice. So the automation happens actually through actions from the customer, not actually from the techs. And so as these customers make these actions or do these particular actions, that's what triggers all this stuff to happen. And that's the automation part. And that is how it is done. And so it's very important that when you send your technicians or your plumbers out to a job, that they have to get the quote signed. If you don't get the quote signed, then we're not triggering this timetable. And that is one of the things you really have to do. And let Sera start thinking through this as you get this stuff done. I'm going to have to, because I don't have the ability to figure out how this, let me go back to this one where I said it was automated. Let's check it out here. Yeah. So I don't see where, the way this came in is, I know how it came in now because it's visible to the customer. Matthew actually wrote this note, but then the time was kept during this process. And that's the note that he wrote so that he would know what he did and how much time, that 23 minutes, he wanted to bill it to that job. And so that's how he did that. So that part was actually done by Matthew. Now that I'm looking at it here. Finished trip, that's automatic. Left message, take us on the way, automatic. Start a trip, automatic, all these different things, appointment schedule, automatic. Let me see, did this customer do this online? Yes, this customer didn't even call us. So we didn't waste anyone's time in the office at all. The only first contact with this customer was actually Matthew. So we saved a ton of money on overhead costs because she did this all online and got $11,000 job from it because we made it easy for them to do business with us. You guys know, you've heard of Angie's List and Home Advisor, right? You guys heard of them, right? Well, each of those companies are worth over $1 billion and they have 0 call takers. So we're just trying to get those calls away from those guys and back into our own businesses. And so, did I answer your question all right?
Now, Rod, have you got your sound sorted? Let's see.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if I answered the last question correctly before I moved back to Rod.
Sorry. Yeah, Michael did. He did put his hand up.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure, Michael. I wanted to make sure you.
And my apologies, Michael. If not, feel free to jump back on. I think Rod's got his sound sorted now. So yes, Rod.
All right, Rod, you're up.
Yes, sir. Great software. Thank you very much. It saved us a lot of hassle. The question I have is, how do you calculate your QuickBook rate, hourly rate for the technicians to put it in Sera? If that makes sense.
So how do we calculate the time or the cost?
Yeah, the time you said there is like whatever they charge you per week, per hour, you take that, you multiply it by 1.4 and you put it in Sera, and then you add the parts and overhead, and that's how the price is calculated.
Yes, sir.
That's you said in the last meeting you're gonna share with us a video on how exactly to do that.
Yeah.
I was still hoping to see that video if possible. That would be great help.
All right. You're going to challenge my
Math
so you
skills,
want plumbing or HVAC? Which one you want?
plumbing, possible.
All right. So guys, I deal in margins. And when I mean my margins, you've got a gross margin and then you got a gross profit margin. And those are at the top of the financial statement. And what's included in your gross margin is only the people that go out on a job. All right. And what I mean by that is your techs, plumbers, electricians, your installers, your helpers, anyone that goes out on a job, that's called direct labor. And that direct labor is figured out in the COGS, or cost of goods sold, which is basically you try to figure out what those costs are to actually do a job. Like if you pay $100 for a part, you know you're spending $100. If you're paying a guy $50 an hour and he works an hour, you know you're paying him $50 an hour. But then there's this thing that Rod just mentioned, multiplied times 1.4. Now I don't show that in here, Rod. But if you pay a guy, just say $20 an hour, you must multiply it by 1.4 to get the actual cost of that guy working for you. And so 20 times 1.4, I think, is $28 an hour is your true cost. Okay. Everybody follow me?
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So your true cost, and we're talking about cost here, is $28. Now then, there's going to be helpers involved, and they're going to be a portion of the direct labor. There's going to be installers involved, and they're going to be a portion of the direct labor. And once you have their numbers, it's also by 1.4, and then you come up with a number. So I know that. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to pick a water here. All right, I'm going to pick a water here. 50-gallon gas, most popular heater these days. All right, we're going to go look at this real quick. Okay, So I want to achieve a 62% gross margin on this. This is what I'm trying to do here. And we're going to look at the calculation. So I mentioned that technician or plumber is costing me $28 an hour if I'm paying them 20, right? But I know that when I go in and I figure out everybody that works in a job or direct labor person, all of those guys included cost me $61 per hour. So that's my cost, guys. That's not what I sell it for. But I know for if I'm 100% efficient, which right now I think we were 94, I think, as a company. So if I'm 100% efficient, which I'm not, I'm six points off, but I'm almost perfect when it comes to that. I know that my labor cost is $61 per hour, meaning it's $1 and I don't know, 4 cents, maybe somewhere in there per minute for everyone. And so for every person that is out there, that's what I'm getting. That's my markup is $61 per every person on there. So I'm also figuring that it takes 6 hours to put in this 50-gallon gas water heater. I know all of you are going, what? 6 hours? I can do it in an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah, the actual job itself, maybe. But what about if you don't have the heater and you got to get it? Or in our case, we use installers to put in our heaters. Plumber sells it. He goes to another job. They're installing it. Hopefully he sells another heater while he's there at the next job. And so we know that by the time I travel all these guys drive to this job. We get them coordinated through Sera. We know where they are. We can direct them without calling them. And we know that it's about a 6-hour job for us, including all the drive time, whatever, labor, drive time, everything. We also know that when we buy the water heater and all the parts that go along with that, it's $536. Okay. We also know that we were putting a 10% finance allowance on every job, whether they finance or not. Why do we do that? Because we know that if you sell a job for, in this case, $2,600 and they finance it, the finance company is going to charge you anywhere from 8 to 16%. And we might as well just charge all of our customers that so that we can get paid back for it instead of it being a cost. Remember, I've said you always got to charge your customers for every cost. That is the way a business should run. Every cost should be charged back to the customer. Now then, my total cost of goods sold, which is the labor, the parts, and the finance fee, is $992.20. I want to achieve a margin of 62%. So I'm marking it up an additional $1,619.80 for a total sale price of $26.12. The reason why I do that is this is where people really miss the boat here. It looks like I'm making $1,600 on this job, and I am. That's my gross profit, $1,620. That is my gross profit. But now out of that $1,620, I have to pay my overhead costs. And in most companies, that's anywhere from 40 to 55%. So half of this money goes to the overhead costs. More than half of this goes to the overhead cost of this $1,600. And then after that's done, you may put the rest to a bottom line, but then now you're paying your debt service. So let's just say I have $800 left over. Of that $800 I have left over, which looks like a profit, and it is, I now have to pay car payments, loan payments, truck payments, and all these loans. I pay it out of the profits. And therefore, when I need that to be as high as possible so that I can handle my debt service and be profitable. Does that make sense to everyone? That's why margins are super important. And so I can dive down, I can look at all the parts cost. It's in a group package here. I can easily get my prices updated right here. It's no problem whatsoever. So Rod, did I help you with what I was talking about?
Yes, sir. That's answer the questions.
Thank you, Rod. We've got Dustin, and then I'd still like to. Dustin, you're good to go. I just would like to go back to all our contractor friends that don't have. We love the product, Billy, and I can see why so many contractors are moving across to it. But it's that question of, I don't have access to Sera. How do I simplify incentives plan? But I'll let Dustin go, and we'll come back. Or do you want to?
Yeah, we'll go back to that as soon as all the questions are answered. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good. Dustin, off you go, my man.
Hey Billy, how you doing, bud?
Fine. How are you, Dustin?
Doing good. Hey, I'm new with you guys. I signed up a few months ago, but I'm still learning everything. How did you come up with that $61? I know I saw a
Great
video
question.
one time of you kind of divide it by all this, but because when I did it, I came up with like $90 an hour, and I know I'm nowhere near your size, so that's why I'm confusing myself.
Sure. All right. So the first thing we do, I go to something that doesn't lie to us at all, and that is your financial statement. Everybody agreed that your financial statement is basically a report card for how well you're doing in your business, right? And so in that financial statement, you're going to have your direct labor costs. So if you look at your financial statement from the previous year and for this year, or the year before, this is how you figure it out. This is a great question. I wish I had a way to write this on a board on the screen so you could see it, but we can get you this formula to you guys, and it's super easy. I know that you guys are probably all using flat rate pricing, and you know the formula is very complicated. And then once you figure out the formula, then they ask you at the very end to divide it by 2. That means the formula doesn't really work. They're guessing. And so with margin pricing, it's exactly what it needs to be. And so to answer your question, what you do is you take all of your COGS labor, cost of goods sold. That is your direct labor, okay? All of your direct labor. That would be what it cost you for 1 year for all of your plumbers and techs, what it costs you for 1 year for all of your helpers, what it costs you for 1 year for all of your installers, if you have installers as well. Anybody that goes to a job, you take and you add up all their, what you paid them for that year. Okay, now you have a number. Now that you have that number, the next thing you do, let's just say that number is 100,000. Let me see. Yeah, that's fine. 500,000. Let's say that, because all right, now that you have this number of 500,000, and it's everybody in the company. I mean, everybody that goes out in the field. Now that you have that, we know that on a 40-hour work week and 50 weeks a year, because we know that there's 2 weeks of, maybe there's vacation, holiday pay, or sick pay. So we use 50 weeks. There's 50 weeks in a year. So you take that $500,000 that you paid in COGS and you divide it by 50. Okay. Everybody follow me? Get your little calculators out. 500,000 that you paid in direct labor divided by 2,000. Excuse me, I said 50. I apologize. It's 50 weeks times 40 hours a week, which is 2,000 hours. So you take 500,000 divided by $2,000. 2,000, excuse me, not dollars. Okay. Hopefully everybody got 250. Is that the number we got?
Yes.
All right. And let's say we have 5 plumbers. We divide it by 5. And your cost per your technician, your billable cost per hour is $50. It's that simple. So again, I'm going to repeat myself. You take the direct labor and you divide it by 2,000 hours, which is 1 year's worth of labor. But I need 1 year of direct labor as well. If you have 10 months of direct labor, then you divide it by the equivalent of 10 months, which would be less, obviously. So not to confuse anyone, I need a full year's worth of direct labor. I need to divide it by 2,000 hours, and then I need to divide it by how many techs you have in a truck, not your helpers, not your installers, just your tech total count. Because this is what I need your techs billing per hour for our cost, just to cover our cost. All right. Once you have that $50, okay, there's a couple more steps. Now, then you decide what your margin is. In my opinion, a company should be able to sell very easily at a 55% gross margin. I like to start a lot of our companies off at a 55. I believe all of y'all probably heard this from your onboarder. And then work your way up to 60%. You can go 56, 57, 58 if you want, but you go from 55, you work your way up to 60% gross margin. Once you have you don't want to be overpriced because you can still make money at 55. So what you do is you take your $50 per hour, and then since we're trying to figure out what you need to charge the customer, you divide it by whatever your margin is. So let's say your margin is 60. So you will divide by 40. It's always a number of 100 as a whole. You divide it by 40, $50 divided by 40. Your per hour selling price is $125. Now, to answer the question about the 61 versus the 50, and you're not as big a business as we are. The reason why my number is lower, because I'm a lot more efficient than you are. That's the reason why my number is lower than your number. And that's why we're going to help you bring that number down through efficiency.
Okay.
And so that is what we're trying to get you to, is get you in that $60 range as a cost. And efficiency will get it down. That's what will drive it down. So don't think because I'm bigger that my costs are more. They are. They obviously are, right? Because we're a bigger company. On a per dollar basis, yes, everything is more expensive. But on a percentage basis, I'm a much cheaper. I'm much less cost. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because looking at your prices, I mean, you're still even a little higher than I am, even though my hourly rate is more. But I think because I've adjusted some of the times in my price book too.
Yes, sir.
Which I probably, now that I heard what you said about, hey, the drive time, all that, I probably shouldn't have even touched it, but
probably not. And
yeah.
So even though you're higher, it may be best practice to lower it slightly, because going into the future, you're fixing it, right? You're fixing it. So if you're at 90 now, you may want to put here's what I want to tell all of you. Don't change the times. We pretty much got them close. You just saw that we're getting them very close, and the more data we get, the closer we're going to get them, the more exact we're going to get them. And so don't ever change the hours, if you will, if you use Billygo's price book. What you want to work on is the margin only. Okay. Get your labor rate right, and then put your margin in there, and then you can start backing off your labor cost to lower your pricing where you want it to be. You don't want to mess with the time, and you don't want to mess with the margin, because we can only fix the margin if we have it exact. You just want to manipulate your hourly costs. So if you're at 90, and through the coaching we can give you through Sera Academy and with your success person, we can get you down to the 60s pretty quick.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay? Yeah. You want it to be lower. That's because you're more efficient as it goes down.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks, Billy.
Hey, you're welcome.
Hey, Billy, do you still want to can I stop the screen share now to bring you back up? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, good. Now, Rod wants to come in again, but I'd still like to get to the, just something that we can help.
Okay.
Anyone that's not using your product, what do you advise they do to simplify their incentive?
Okay.
That's the big one. That's the one I'm getting a lot of. And
all right.
I haven't got the answer for that, because the way we did it was always, it was complicated, but it worked.
All right. So this is the simplest way you can pay your people, and they love it. And this is technicians. You can even do helpers, you can do installers, but let's focus on the technicians first.
Sure.
All right, I need a starting hourly rate. What's it going to take to get the best plumber in your business? If you want really good plumbers, what's a number that sounds good to everybody?
30.
30? All right. Now then, in your opinion, guys,
That's cheap.
do what now?
That sounds cheap. Well, I mean, in Australia, it was probably 70 to 80.
Well, that's a blue country though.
Yeah, I know. Yes. It's like the penal colony. But yeah, 30. Wow.
Do y'all want to use a higher number?
I think we should.
What do you think, Billy? What is your advice?
Let's go 35. Or even 40. I mean, let's go 35 first. I just want to show you that we can make this work no matter what. All right. Now then, if you're paying a guy, now I want everybody to understand, this is where they would start every week. Now, if there's $75, that's fine. We can get him there. That's the whole point of this pay system. I'm going to get you there. These are the raises that they get. So we'll start at 35. All right. So in my opinion, what's fair to you and him is 20% or 25%. Which one do you want? Pay
20.
20. All right. You're speaking my language. There's 21 right there. It's close enough. So this is by the week. Every week he'll start off at $35. He has a minimum of 8,000 that he needs to bring in to go to the next level. All right. That's a $400,000 a year truck. Now I can keep it there or I can lower it slightly. Does everybody feel comfortable with the guy bringing in 400 grand?
So are we supposed to be seeing your screen, Billy, or no?
Oh, crapper. Sorry, guys. That's right. He made me stop sharing, didn't he?
When you say eight, is that just sold or the implement like done by himself?
Hang on one second. Let me get you guys.
You've still got access to screen share, Billy.
I'm sorry. I forgot I turned it off. I'm sorry, guys. We'll start over. What happens when you have a rookie on here? All right. See this now? Everybody see this?
Yeah.
All right. We set it on 35, remember? So that's an hourly rate. 8,000. And then Rod asked a question. I asked y'all a question, and then Rod asked a question. The question I asked is, everybody feel like that a plumber could, if you paid him $35 an hour, could consistently get himself over 8,000? And Rod asked, is that just what he sells or what's put in? And so the answer to that question is, no matter what he sells, you never deduct from it, and you give him full credit for everything, whether he puts it in or not. So if he sells a $6,000 tankless water heater job and someone else does the work, he gets $6,000 credit. If he sells all week long, he sells $20,000 worth of work, and someone else does the work, he never does any of the work, he still gets $20,000. We don't deduct. We're there to reward them. And so let's talk about that. Let's say he does have a $20,000 a week average. That week, you're literally giving him $48 an hour. That's his raise for that week because he went over 20 grand. That's a $13 an hour raise. He just made $48 for every hour he worked. In this particular case, he worked 45 hours. In this particular case, $48 per hour over 20,000. Here's his money that he made, and here's his labor rate. Where did it start? Look where it's at.
Mm.
And he's happy. He just got $13. You're paying him more than anyone else is going to pay him. He gets paid for every hour, guys. Even when he's driving, he gets his $48. Even when he's at the shop picking up parts, he gets his $48. He gets paid for all of his time, and the stress and the pressure of commission is off his lap. No spiffs. Don't pay spiffs. Spiffs are the death of companies. That's why your labor rates are over 30%. You do this, you got a $13 an hour raise, and you both win. Any questions?
Do you cap the overtime?
No.
No. Okay. Do you cap?
Well,
you cap
hang
the
on.
pay rate?
Hang on. Let me say, I don't look at overtime as a problem. What I look at is he being efficient while he's working, right? I can measure that, right? So I don't care if the guy works, I don't care if he works 50 hours. Let's put 50 in there. I don't care. Is he being efficient? Same $48, right? What did this cost you? Oh, look here. Started here. Now you're here. 55 hours. As long as he's efficient and he's selling 55 hours worth of work, $48. Now you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Somebody's trying to talk to this car. Did I lose y'all?
No, gotcha. No, gotcha.
All right. So this is going to be in Sera pretty soon. It's going to be all automated. And so they'll know where they stand at all times. You'll know where they stand. You're going to know your profit on every job at all times. By the end of this year, you'll know exactly how much money you make the second the customer signs and pays you. You'll know exactly if you made money on that job or not.
Just one more question for me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Do you cap the pay rate? Like I see there's 56. Do you cap it at 56?
No, it goes on to infinity.
Yeah. Why would you cap it, Rod? That's like
I'd never cap this. I would never
stopping
cap
you guys from selling when they're doing 100 a month,
In fact, what we do, guys, that's not on here, once they get to 50 an hour, we make it $2 every 1,000. And so this is why they love it, because all he has to do is $999 more to get another $1 an hour. So let's just pretend that he's at $8,640. He's $360 from an extra $1 an hour. He's going to go run another call for you. He's going to see if he can come in on Saturdays, because now the wife understands what's going on. And she's going to go get that 360. So let's say he goes in there, he sells the next job for 1,000 instead of 360. Now he's only $400 or $500 away, very close to the next level. And so then it's super easy to keep getting raises. Super simple. And they see this and they want to continue to try to get more and more money. My guys generally for the plumbers generally can make $50 to $100 an hour starting in October through March. That's when we make the majority of our money in this company. It's nothing to see them, $50 to $100 an hour for every hour they work. And then every week they start over at 35 and they do it all over again. And AC guys in the summer, I have them up to 80 to 100 all the time, because if they sell a $20,000 air conditioner, they get $20,000 credit just for that one air conditioner. You sell a repipe for 20 grand as a plumber, you're at $48 an hour. And then you sold $5,000 at some other jobs that week. Now you're at 53 an hour, and you're so happy to pay it to them. And now you can talk to them differently. You can encourage them to make more money. You're there, you get your company to help these guys get higher and higher pay rates by helping them. Help them with their proposals. Answer the phone happily, like you really care and you want to help them. I don't care what mood you're in, get out of it when it comes to your technicians and plumbers, and help them succeed. And if you help them succeed, they're going to help you succeed. And this is how you encourage it. And it's super easy. And Sera, he knows what his sales are, right, Rod?
Yes.
You can see it. They can see it on the tech app. And
Would
so-
you recommend, sorry to interrupt, maybe it's what we could save some money if we just pay the plumbers, the technician that sell the job, and the installer, we cap them? No cap on plumbers, but there's a cap on the installer.
There's no cap on anybody.
My payroll is gonna soar.
It's gonna go down. Your payroll may soar, but your profitability will improve 3x.
I'll take your word for it.
I've been doing it for 20 years. 2003, what's that? Yeah, 20 years.
20 years. I'm gonna meet you at that Service Nation Expo in October. You're gonna see me a lot. You want
All
me back there?
right. I'm looking forward to it.
You're
I
a
like
funny
You're
guy, Rod.
following me like your shadow.
Everywhere the Billy goes, Rod will be there.
I'm gonna be there.
Come on over.
Just watch out.
Yeah,
Go to the
anybody
bathroom.
else that's interested in going out to Service Nation Alliance, I will be out there. You're welcome to come see me. We are actually having I'm actually having a function with Ken Goodrich. I need to get it out there. I haven't even marketed it at all. Ken Goodrich and I are going to be going to a car garage thing where he keeps a lot of his cars and some other people keep their cars. We're real big car guys. And we're going to have an open forum of Q&A with me and Ken Goodrich for about 4 hours that night on Tuesday night.
And sir, you can count on me. I'm gonna be a Raven fan for Sera. I'm gonna tell everybody I see out there how good it is.
Yes. So I know we're on a public forum here, and it's hard for me to. Any questions on this before we move on? Does everybody understand what's happening here?
I just had one question on it, Billy, and that's it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The hourly pay, do you have different tax at different hourly pays?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then
You can do
that adjusts their weekly sales, right?
That's correct. We always
Okay.
reset at their base, and then they can go here. And then this is different based on their base. So some guys, some plumbers just don't sell big ticket items, but they sell, 90% of the time they close a job, but they're consistently repair plumbers, right?
Right.
Not selling big jobs. So these guys need to be a little bit different than the guy that's a big seller, because you want your big sellers to make a lot of money, and you want your guys that don't get you any callbacks to make good money. We need every type of plumber and every type of technician. We need those that are really good, that don't get callbacks. All their work is solid. We need those that can sell and someone else can do the job for them. I mean, my install crews all my installers are licensed plumbers that don't like to sell anything, but they're making huge dollars getting to do their craft, getting to be a plumber and do all the stuff that they like doing. And so we have, you need to open your businesses up to all plumbers, and know that when you have a mix of everyone, every type of plumber, you're going to have more of a profitable company. I think we get lost in the shuffle that we always need the biggest seller. Well,
so if you have a guy that's good with no callbacks and stuff, you would put him maybe at a lower hourly rate so he could hit his bonus with his.
Well, we'd put him at something yes, we want him to make bonus. That's the whole idea here. We want them to make bonus.
Gotcha.
So we would set this up so they can be successful. And when they become successful, the customers see that he's happy, and then they buy, because this guy is transmitting. Hey, I love this company. He loves the company. He's happy with the company. He's being treated fair, and he didn't have to say anything, and the customer can pick up on his attitude. And when you have a positive attitude because you like where you're working, you're going to be more successful, even if you're just doing repairs. And so I have plumbers that love to go in and they do repairs. They don't sell a bunch of stuff. That's fine. They do their inspections and they talk about it, but they don't close very well. And then I have plumbers that are so talented that they would rather just do the work. And those guys lead the install teams. And then what I do with those guys is those plumbers teach people who don't have any experience in the trades, so that we can start bringing more plumbers up. And this is how you guys need to be thinking. We have a farm system here, and you should create your own farm system. And I'm going to tell you, 80% or more of my employees were not in the trades when they started here. So think about that for a second. That's the only way you're going to scale your business is you've got to start a farm system. You've got to get people into the trades, and you need to look for three things. It's all you need to look for. You need someone that is honest, who has integrity, and you can pick up on people that are honest and have integrity with a little probing. You can figure it out. And then work ethic. I can't teach anyone to be honest. Either you are or you're not. I can't teach anyone to have better integrity. Either you do or you don't. But I can't teach work ethic. You either have it or you don't. But I can teach everything else if you have those three.
Fantastic. Thank you, Billy. We'll probably have to close off with questions. It's appreciate your time again. Look, I just
Somebody
like
said, let's see 45. I'm sorry. I can't see the chat thing when I'm sharing my screen.
Let's
You want me
see.
to see
I think we've
45?
covered most of the questions.
So whoever asked that, Michael, it works just the same with 45. It works the same.
So thanks again, Billy, for delivering value. And look, I'm going to what I'm going to do with anyone that is not too sure, they haven't come across to Sera yet, and they want to improve upon their incentive plans. They've got to work on being efficient. They've got to work on paying their people really well. And but the key is the efficiencies, right? Is to make sure that look, for me, it's unheard of companies being at 94%. And I know we've had discussions where you've been at 100%, but 94% is unheard of. And I know we've covered this in previous in our previous workshops. The industry average is 40, closer to 40%. Would I be right?
It's 38 is what the study said. So high 30s, 40, if you will. So 60% of the time we're not charging for work.
Yeah.
Even though we're paying for it for someone to be working. And so 60% of the time we're not getting the money for it. And that's what we have to fix in our businesses. And that's what Sera helps you do. That's the whole idea, is how do we make these companies more efficient, not have to charge more money, but just get all your profits through efficiency. And that will help you proceed, go further. And I've got companies, and I'm not even talking about Billygo. I'm talking about clients on Sera that are doing 30% EBITDAs. In other words, 30% of all the money they bring in. I think this company is like a little over 7.5 million, almost 8 million, is bringing in almost $2.4 million of cash flow on a $7.5 million company. And I have these companies all over the place. It doesn't matter. I've got $1 million companies that are doing it now, 2 million, 10 million. I got $60 million companies doing it. And it just really comes back to being able to measure efficiency, and then getting your company built around the knowledge, around the technician's success. And if you can do that, you're going to really turn these businesses into cash machines.
I freaking love it. I know it's something that I have been preaching myself for many years, is the importance of the culture. And that was, before we jumped on today's call, it was one of the things that you highlighted to me, by getting a really simplified incentive plan in place to improve company culture. Who doesn't want to make their company a better place to work? Because I've seen it firsthand with your company, how well it runs, and how happy your technicians are to be at Billygo. But like I said before, I've been into a lot of companies, and all technicians out there have very, very similar. They have very similar issues, but it's amazing what you're able to extract from your company, Billy. And so we've gone a little bit over, but I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And big thank you to Billy for giving away his time, extremely valuable. And yeah, appreciate you and everything you do for the industry, my man.
Well, thanks for having me on. And you know, these hours fly by in minutes, seems like, on my end anyway. And if I'm boring, I'm sure it doesn't. But I just want to say one thing is, if we just step back and look at a easier, simpler way to run our businesses, you can really extract a lot of money out of these companies. And that these guys that have these ongoing businesses are already making enough money. We just got to figure out how to get it to the bottom line. And that's really what we help you do.
Friggin' love it.
I appreciate y'all's time. I know your time's valuable as well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody. And Billy Stevens, good to see you again, my man. Looking forward to seeing you at Service World. And yeah, you have a fantastic day. And yeah, over and out from me. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.